Hi, this is Nina Wow from Cyberlite. Thank you very much for joining us on our six-part webinar series, which will look at each key topic in the Internet Independence series. We truly believe that children should have the independence to navigate the online space. But to be able to get them there, we have to have them understand the critical skills they need to ensure they understand the risks that are coming at them and what they can do about it. Today, we're going to look at one of the core topics in this area. Each webinar will look at a different one each time, and we're going to start really with digital identity. Please treat this video as a foundation to know what the definition and ideas behind the thought process of this topic are and how you can bring this knowledge to the classroom. Also, the children will give you a lot more understanding of how they feel about each topic as well. So this is a nugget of what you need to know as you step into the classroom about digital identity. So what is digital identity? Where does it all start? The makeup of a child's digital identity, sometimes we think of as their names, of their photos, of their online presence. And sometimes children themselves do define that clearly as my online presence is my account on Netflix, or my online presence is my account on TikTok. But actually it's much more than that. And the complexity of what the digital identity is what we need to deep dive into, especially with children over the age of 13, whose interactions have become more external and not as internal, and they can have repercussions as they grow older to what their digital identity looks like. So let me surmise what the actual digital identity would define. Actually, is everything. Everything online actually becomes part of your digital identity. Who you speak to, what you watch, what you like, what you listen to, where you shop. Anytime you type into your board and you are on an external browser or in an app which is external, someone is capturing that information. It could be the technology itself. Your digital identity means a lot in terms of data, in terms of revenue. So your behavior becomes something that could be monetized. So every single click you are making is being followed and looked at by someone. Now, if we dial it back from the technology companies and look how digital identity can affect peer-to-peer, when you are putting anything online that belongs to your friends, or somebody could judge, or somebody can take reference to who you are and what your personality may be like, this is a footprint into somebody's digital identity as well. One of the clear things we need children to understand is when they put something online, they think they have deleted it, or they feel it is in a private exchange, that may not be true. There are scenarios where children really believe that they can trust a situation or a product, and it has led to situations where information has gone out about them. Let me give you a case and example based on an app called Snapchat. Now, the reason I bring up Snapchat is more so we have a reference. It's not because I'm particularly picking on just this one app, or the digital identity is only a worry in this app. It's so we can really learn in one platform and we can then replicate our learning onto other platforms. So when a child or a student comes into Snap, they do so for different reasons. Their motivation to use the app is to communicate with their friends. We find that students today don't really use WhatsApp or Telegram as much as they would go to Snap first of all. So they want to communicate with their friends. They also want to exchange photos, and the nature of Snap is you can snap that picture and then it will disappear. And children tend to believe that to be true. However, there is third-party software that can capture that photo. There is also the ability just to pick up a camera and take a photo of the photo. So it never really disappears. If the child is also not on their privacy settings and they're open to the public, people they may not know also can comment and see their photos. The digital identity that is also captured on Snap is where they are. The Snap map is a utility or a tool that students will use to navigate where everyone is. The avatar also changes according to what the person may be doing. So the snap will use patterns of behavior to understand that if that child is in a location near the gym, they may be working out, or if they're in their room, they could be sleeping. So their friends can see exactly what they're doing at what time. The issue with this is that it's highly invasive. Not only are we telling friends, we're also telling anyone else who has access to this map that can put them in a really complicated situation, or they may be in a very vulnerable situation if they have strangers who are following their location as well. The other thing that the app really wants to capture is people's behaviors and friendships. Our digital identity can become very habit forming. For one case, if you look at Snap, there is a Snap score in it, where if I am communicating with a friend over and over again, our score goes up. My identity suddenly gets fixated on making sure my Snap score is going in an upward trajectory. And that's something we really need to worry about when our children interact with technology. Is the technology taking over and shaping how our children think, or are our children using the technology to support or help them? One of the key things that I would always say when you're speaking to children about their digital identity online is to consider their motivation behind the behaviors they have online. Are they doing something because they want to, or are they being led by a herd, or are they in an echo chamber? Let me explain those two words to you in more detail. We have found, and we as humans know, that we tend to end up in an echo chamber, or we follow a herd when everyone else in our group or society or community is thinking one way. We tend to do the same thing. That means we end up surrounded by people who are having the same behaviors online. For an example, if your friend is sharing inappropriate content, and a lot of your friends are doing it, and we often hear, is something my generation is doing, you start to follow that. But we need to dial back and get children to think about their own identity. Is it something that they'd want to do in the real world? And if not, why are they finding it so easy to replicate in the online world? Some of the key takeaways when we're talking to our children about digital and identity, we have outlined here. When you're speaking to students on how they navigate the internet space and the footprints that they're leaving behind, we should be clear to why they're motivated to post in the first place. If they're posting something that is negative, could be perceived to be cyberbullying, or could cause somebody harm, not only is it affecting that individual, but it becomes part of their digital identity. Are they aware of what it looks like and how it is perceived? Back to the echo changer and herd mentality, one of the things we find that is easy to follow a trend or a challenge because of its virality and to be up on the times. None of us really want to be missing out or feel like we don't know what's going on. So we see children falling into a habit of doing challenges that could be incredibly dangerous or put them in an anxiety-inducing place, but they will still do them anyway. We have to get children to critically think through, does this align with my personal values, and assess whether it could affect their health. Let me give you a case and example of this. The cinnamon challenge was very big on TikTok. This is where you were enticed to sniff cinnamon and see what would happen. Actually, what happens is incredibly violent to the body and can affect your respiratory system and your lungs. And so a lot of kids found that they became quite ill after this and having long-term effects. Another challenge we've seen children or older students, as it were, get into is the blindfold and drive. Anybody who thinks that through critically will think, wow, that's incredibly dangerous. You should not be driving with a blindfold on. But it has been done, and death has occurred through this challenge going viral on TikTok. So first of all, just because other people are doing it does not mean it's something that we want to be part of or it be part of our permanency online. The discussion about the echo chamber and how dangerous it is if we just follow each other's opinion. A case in example is a lot of students are now getting content from Andrew Tate, who pushes a lot of content on how boys are able to own women and women are are somebody or some of a commodity, as it were, and this keeps getting fed to you. It becomes part of your identity. An example is if you are watching a movie or a soap and you really get into it, you start to think like that. You want to go and see where that dress was from, see if you can get it yourself. The same is true of students. If they keep hearing the same things, it will come from their online world into their offline world and shape their value system. They need to consider, is this something I truly believe, or has this been given to me by an influence or an influence online? And the last one, your self-esteem should not come from the attention or response you receive on social media. We have seen, especially with our girls on platforms such as Instagram, that engagement has become very key to who they are and how they value themselves. The more likes, the more shares, the more interaction gives us a dopamine rush and makes us feel better. But to understand that actually doesn't reflect very well on us on the offline world, and it doesn't reflect well on our mental health either. Can we be more positive? One of the key takeaways to talk to all kids about at any age is, how do you build a positive digital footprint? The good thing about the digital permanency of online is that we can get our messaging across when we are passionate or really into something. Yeah, if we are an incredible dancer or one day we want to be a veterinarian, can we be leaving footprints or breadcrumbs for recruiters or university to see our passion, to see how enabled and ambitious we are? The digital footprint can be used for good. If there is a cyberbullying case or toxic behavior, and you can be seen to be an upstander, somebody who promotes kindness, this becomes a value that you can take offline, and people do notice it and do recognize it. One of the key questions we need everyone to be asking themselves before they put something up: is this a good post or a bad post? In fact, is this going to cause a negative behavior coming out of it, or is it going to be a positive behavior coming out of it? Let me give you an example. If I'm posting something about the school and Kindness Day and how we are all great friends, obviously that will reflect very well on me, my self-esteem. You're in a good place. If I am liking or posting something that makes somebody else feel emotionally harmed or in a complex situation, I am doing a disservice to them and myself by putting that to my name. So we need to consider what's out there. One of the things that we've seen talking to students is often they are find a complexity of the nuance of, well, somebody posted this online and therefore I get to comment. It's my right to say something back, be it negative or positive. We need an understanding of how the digital identity and community online has to be treated as if it was offline. We can't go around being mean, nasty to each other. People can have an opinion. It doesn't mean that they're ready to be attacked. And that's something we really need children and students to get to know. Talking about this topic, it's really important that we leave children with a positive or what they can do about it and how they can navigate so they can truly be internet independent. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll speak to you soon.